Not too long ago, PewDiePie uploaded a video of his 1 year art journey. My crusty dog and I watched it, and it felt nice being able to have one of my favourite YouTubers relate to some art struggles, and seeing his art progress was inspiring. But another part of me felt like I was so behind, and all the amazing drawings that he'd done in such little time was stuck in my mind. He went from drawing small sketches of heads to a whole manga panel in just a year. This is nothing against PewDiePie though. If anything, I've got something against myself because I haven't been studying art with as much enthusiasm as he has, and that's obviously a major factor in his growth. One part of the video really resonated with me.
I just kept drawing the same things. Anime girl, too much anime.
Once that realization hit me, I wanted to work on my feat of drawing male anatomy. It's weird, I'll take a commission from a girl any day of the week, but the moment someone masculine or a guy pops out of a portal and asks for a drawing, I get this extreme amount of anxiety and I just feel like crying. And it's not because I don't know how to do it, it's just that it takes so much time and the lack of confidence I have in it is jarring. For example, I did a video of how to paint like Arcane, give that a watch after this, and I did a sketch of my sister in no time at all, but my brother asked for the exact same drawing and I immediately tensed up. Look at the difference of this quick time lapse of my sister's drawing compared to my brother. With my brother, I immediately start drawing guidelines, boxes, circles. It gets really sketchy and messy. But enough complaining. I studied male anatomy recently and it's still a work in progress, but I composed some tips into a video just so I can share my experiences. I don't know all the technical anatomy terms, so I'll just be sharing kind of what worked for me. Starting off, I know that Tarzan is the thumbnail of this video and we are going to learn from him, but before we get into him, we need to learn actual male anatomy. And the reason for this is because Tarzan is extremely stylized, so his proportions and silhouette is based off a bunch of character designers bringing together their knowledge and creating a distinct character. So before we can learn from him, we need to learn what the actual great artists learn. At the moment, I've sketched out both male and female anatomy. The reason why I do both of them is so that I can distinctively tell the difference between the two. Personally, I struggle when I draw just males because I don't know what I'm focusing on, but because I'm confident in drawing women, if I draw them side by side, I'll be able to pick up the shapes that separate the two. There's 3 sections that I focus on the most with male anatomy. The first feature is the traps, then the chest area, which there's not much explaining needed there as to why they're different, and the ribcage area or hips in the woman's case. There are other aspects like broad shoulders or more muscular definitions in the arm, but I've seen a lot of women have those same features and vice versa with men, so I'd focus on the first 3 because they seem like the most defining attributes to me. This part is up to you, but if you want to do this as an exercise, draw along with me and we can pick up on the mistakes as we go, because I definitely make mistakes, but knowing how to correct them is what makes learning valuable. I start with the top of the head, then into the traps, and I try to make things as symmetrical as possible, using as little lines as I can so things don't overlap and look messy. If something doesn't look right as well to me, I'll usually erase it just on the spot and start again, because going over and over in it, I tend to lose the actual features that I'm trying to show. Another tip is to colour in the basic shapes as you see how I'm doing here so that you can see if the proportions are off or not. For example, the trap on the right for the male is slightly larger than on the left side, and I wouldn't have really noticed this until I filled in that section and saw the differences between them. This part is also handy because sometimes when we draw we fall into the flow instead of matching it to the reference, so if you fill it in with colours and you notice things are blending together or looking really mushy, you can go back to the sketch and separate those features. And when we look at the back of both our subjects here, we can see those same features being highlighted. I would like to add as well, because I didn't do any pointers for this, but usually like males' butts are a bit more square than females' ones, and they usually have like either a dimple on the side or they have like an indentation on the side. Yeah, just wanted to add that. I would also recommend drawing out the side profile so you can see how the overall silhouette is different from each other with male and female anatomy, and focusing on those 3 main aspects we spoke about earlier. Now on to Tarzan. I chose him as my reference because coming from usually drawing women, I love drawing curves and soft lines, and I feel like this man is the natural embodiment of the letter S. Another reason though is because I personally find his shapes very easy to read, and with his dramatic poses it's easy to find shapes in his silhouette. But yeah, after I do the sketch, I go back in and I color in those shapes so that I'm making sure that those proportions are right. I basically do this with every pose until I'm comfortable. With this pose though, I started drawing from his arm and it started looking really rough and wonky. So I changed the point of which I was drawing from, and that helped surprisingly. So I started drawing from his neck and headed downwards. Once you get the hang of this, you can really apply this to any pose. I drew my character here on the right without a reference, just from memory, which is something that I couldn't really do before. And because I was going back and making sure those shapes were in the right spots, it actually turned out pretty good. Another tip that I tend to use, and it's not specific to just like male anatomy, it's really just when I draw anything. But for example, if I'm drawing fingers and they just look really wonky and I try again and it just doesn't click, I'll draw something else. So if it's a full body character, I'll draw the legs or I'll focus on the hair and I'll come back to it right at the end. So I kind of give myself a break and I give myself new fresh eyes and look at it differently. Now this part is a little different. I'm going to move away from drawing Tarzan and I'm going to be drawing 3 different Disney characters. This was an exercise for myself just to make things more fun, because to be honest, I started getting bored of drawing Tarzan over and over again, and I thought it would also be fun to include you guys. So once I sketch out the overall body, I'm going to slow down the time lapse and you guys can guess the character by the clothes I draw on top. And if you need more time, obviously feel free to pause the video, but comment who you think it is once you're done. Okay, hopefully by this time you've guessed all the characters. Again, comment below who you think the characters are, and if you didn't guess any of them or you have no clue what is going on, feel free to comment as well and I'll just let you know. And yeah, same technique here. So after I've done the sketch or the drawing, put in those shapes, make sure all those shapes are actually quite readable, and focusing on those traps, the chest and the rib cage area. I do some extra figure drawings over on Patreon and in-depth tutorials, and I'm super active on Instagram if you guys ever want to send me stuff. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.